think about your daily life for a sec. The car you might take to work, or maybe the bus, the trucks delivering goods, even those electric scooters you see whizzing past.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Exactly. Vehicles aren't just like simple transport anymore. They're really the arteries of our modern world. They connect us. They move entire economies. They power global supply chains.
Absolutely.
But here's what's really fascinating. The whole world of mobility. It's transforming and at like an incredible speed.
It really is. Change is definitely the key word.
So today, we're doing a deep dive. We're looking into the future of this huge global vehicle market, pulling back the curtain on the forecasts, specifically looking out towards 2033.
That's right. And we're grounding this discussion in a pretty comprehensive source. It's the Global Vehicle Market Forecast to 2033 from Cognitive Market Research.
Okay.
Our job today really is to pull out the key trends, make sense of these massive market value numbers they're projecting, and untangle the regional differences. We want to give you a really clear picture of where vehicle demand is actually headed and, maybe more importantly, what that might mean for all of us.
Okay, let's unpack this then. So first off, when we say global vehicle market, what exactly are we talking about here? What's included in this definition from the research?
Well, according to the source, it's incredibly broad. It's not just cars. We're talking passenger cars, sure, like the family sedan, but also massive commercial trucks, those nimble two-wheelers you see everywhere, especially in cities.
Yeah.
And even really specialized vehicles, basically anything that makes up the backbone of modern transport system.
Got it. So really wide scope.
Definitely. And if you look at what's driving the growth they're forecasting, it's a mix of powerful forces, things like rising disposable incomes, especially in developing parts of the world.
Makes sense.
The ongoing, relentless trend of urbanization, more people moving to cities, plus the huge expansion of ride-sharing services. That's really changing how people think about getting around.
Yeah, definitely seeing that.
But the really big transformative drivers, they're the advancements in electric and autonomous vehicle tech.
Right, the EVs and self-driving concepts.
Exactly. And what's fascinating, and the report highlights this, is how things like AI, the Internet of Things, IoT, and this big push for sustainability, they aren't just optional extras anymore. They're fundamentally reshaping the whole landscape. Think about AI enabling predictive maintenance for truck fleets, cutting costs and downtime.
Good point.
Or IoT sensors optimizing traffic in smart cities. It's not just a new engine type, it's like a whole reimagining of how vehicles work and fit into our daily lives.
And you can really see the impact of all that in the sheer size of the numbers they're projecting for the global market.
Oh, absolutely. The figures are huge.
Get this. The market was valued at, $1,059.65 billion back in 2021. That's already over $1 trillion.
Yeah, they're big.
Then it's projected to hit $1,481.02 billion by 2025. So substantial growth there. But then the jump to 2033 is massive. It's expected to nearly double again from that 2025 number, surging to $2,893.06 billion by 2033.
Wow.
That works out to a really robust compound annual growth rate, a CAGR of 8.73% between 2025 and 2033.
What's really fascinating there is just the speed, the velocity of that growth.
Right.
We're talking about the market basically tripling in value in just over a decade, from 2021 to 2033. It's not just steady growth, it feels almost exponential.
Right, tripling. That's huge.
And that kind of explosive expansion, well, it has massive implications, doesn't it? Not just for car companies or global economies, but for urban planning, energy grids, how we manage resources, even the job market.
Yeah, I believe.
It's not simply about making more vehicles. It means building entirely new support systems, new ecosystems for this next wave of mobility.
Okay, so that's the global picture. But here's where I think it gets really interesting when you start breaking it down by region. Because the report shows these really diverse patterns of growth all across the globe. You've got clear leaders and then these emerging areas really pushing forward.
Absolutely. It's a global story for sure, but the intensity and the specific drivers, they really vary quite a bit depending on where you look. And Asia Pacific, well, it just stands out. Its current dominance and its projected expansion are just undeniable.
Okay, let's focus there first then, Asia Pacific, because, wow, the numbers are pretty staggering.
They really are.
So the report puts total vehicle sales for the whole APAC region at $369.819 billion in 2021.
Right. Already the largest.
Then it's projected to jump to $527.754 billion in 2025. And then get this, it surges past $1 trillion, hitting 1,074.77 billion by 2033.
Over a trillion, just for APAC.
Yeah, more than doubling in that roughly decade-long period.
And within that huge regional number, China is, well, it's still the undisputed heavyweight. No surprise there. It's projected to hit a market value of $346.076 billion all by itself by 2033. You know, massive population, fast urbanization, growing middle class, wanting cars and commercial vehicles.
Sure.
But what's also really striking is India's growth path.
Ah, okay. Tell me about India.
Well, it starts from a smaller base compared to China, obviously, but its market is forecast to nearly quadruple. It was $57.692 billion in 2021, and they're projecting $205.281 billion by 2033.
Quadruple, wow. That's huge growth.
It's explosive, driven by, again, rising incomes, but also this huge adoption of digital services, including ride-sharing, which is booming there.
Okay, and other big players in APAC.
Yeah, you've got Japan and South Korea. They also show really significant steady growth. Japan heading towards $173 billion, South Korea towards $96 billion by 2033. They all contribute to that overall regional dominance. We also see strong numbers from places like Australia, Singapore, Southeast Asia as a bloc, Taiwan. It's broad-based growth across APAC.
Okay, so APAC is clearly the giant. Let's shift over to North America. What's the story there?
Still very significant growth, of course. The market there was worth $281.868 billion in 2021. Right. And it's expected to grow pretty robustly to $726.157 billion by 2033.
So more than doubling as well. And the U.S. leads that, I assume?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The United States market alone is projected to reach a staggering $585.283 billion by 2033.
Almost $600 billion.
Exactly. The U.S. market is just defined by its sheer scale, but also a lot of ongoing innovation, especially around EVs and connected car technologies.
Right.
Canada and Mexico show strong growth, too. Canada's market, interestingly, is projected to roughly triple by 2033, reaching over $121 billion.
Triple, okay.
Yeah, so North America overall is seeing huge investment, particularly in things like charging infrastructure for EVs and smart road tech to handle all these newer vehicle types.
Okay, makes sense. Now Europe. How does it compare?
Europe's another major player, recorded $247.959 billion back in 2021, and it's anticipated to climb to $630.686 billion by 2033. So again, more than doubling over that period.
Similar trajectory to North America then, roughly.
In terms of the overall multiplier, yeah. Europe's growth is quite interesting because you've got this balance between the really established auto giants like Germany and France.
Right. Germany's huge in automotive.
Exactly. Germany's forecast to hit over $111 billion by 2033, holding its powerhouse position. France and the UK also show big expansion, pushing towards the $94 billion and $83 billion marks.
Okay.
But what's really notable across Europe is the strong push towards sustainability. You see regulatory changes and consumer preferences really driving the adoption of greener vehicle tech continent-wide.
The policy is a big factor there.
A very big factor, and it's widespread. Even countries like Italy and Russia, Spain, they're all projected to see their markets roughly double or more by 2033. It indicates really broad growth across the European landscape, even including Nordic countries and others.
We've covered the big three, APAC, North America, Europe. Massive growth everywhere. But what does this all mean for other parts of the world? And maybe bring it back home. What does it mean for you listening to this?
Yeah, good question, because we need to dive into those other regions, South America, the Middle East, Africa. They might have smaller market values individually right now.
Right, compared to APAC's $1 trillion.
Exactly. But they represent these really important emerging growth frontiers. And looking at them paints a really compelling picture of truly global vehicle demand.
So significant growth potential there, too.
Absolutely. Their projected growth rates are substantial. It reflects, their evolving economies, the expansion of infrastructure, and just increasing demand for personal mobility.
Okay, let's take South America first. What are the numbers there?
South America's market was valued at $79.898 billion in 2021. Not small, but smaller than the big three.
Okay.
But it's expected to reach $228.551 billion by 2033. So that's almost tripling as well.
Almost tripling. Okay, who's leading in South America?
Brazil leads the pack there. It's projected to hit nearly $97 billion by 2033.
Right. Biggest economy there.
Yeah, and Brazil's strong growth reflects increasing economic activity, rising middle class. But Argentina and Colombia also show really significant expansion. Their markets are projected to more then double, maybe triple by 2033.
Hmm.
This whole region really highlights a growing need for both passenger cars and, importantly, commercial vehicles as these economies develop and trade increases.
Okay. What about the Middle East?
The Middle East vehicle market, that was about $49.804 billion in 2021, projected to soar, actually, up to $147.546 billion by 2033. So that's another region looking at roughly tripling its market size.
Tripling again seems to be a theme.
It really does. The Middle East is a fascinating case. Saudi Arabia is projected to lead, getting close to $44 billion by 2033. That's driven a lot by economic diversification efforts, big infrastructure projects.
Like NEOM and things like that.
Potentially feeding into that, yes.
Yeah.
And the UAE and Turkey also show really strong growth. The UAE's market might actually nearly quadruple. What you see in this region is rapid adoption of new tech and a big emphasis on smart mobility solutions, often tied into these ambitious new urban development plans. Egypt and Qatar are also showing significant growth.
Interesting. Okay, last region on the list, Africa.
Right. Africa. The market reached $30.306 billion in 2021.
Okay, the smallest starting point of the regions we've discussed.
Yes, but again, look at the projection. It's forecast to nearly triple, hitting $85.345 billion in 2033.
Nearly triple again. So huge potential there, too.
Immense potential. We've got vast populations, rapid infrastructure development happening in many areas. Nigeria is forecast to be the largest single market by 2033, getting towards $37 billion.
Okay.
And South Africa is also a key player, projected to reach over $35 billion.
So Nigeria and South Africa are the main drivers there.
They're the largest individual markets projected, yeah. But the growth across the continent is critical as these nations build out their transport and logistics networks, improve connectivity. They need a whole range of vehicles, from commercial transport right down to personal mobility options.
So if you tie all that together, South America, Middle East, Africa.
Yeah, if we connect all this back to the bigger picture, the data for these regions, okay, individually they're smaller than, say, China or the U.S.
Right.
But collectively, they paint this really compelling picture of truly global, really widespread growth. It's increasing demand for all sorts of different vehicles everywhere.
And that raises some big questions, doesn't it?
It really does. Like, how will this really distributed growth happening all over the planet affect global logistics? What about infrastructure development on that scale? And the impact on local economies? It's just a massive, multifaceted challenge and opportunity that's going to reshape societies all around the world.
Okay, so let's try and summarize this deep dive. The big takeaway seems to be that the global vehicle market isn't just, growing steadily. It's undergoing this really dramatic, fundamental transformation.
Exactly. It's not just about selling more units.
Right. It's being reshaped by technology, AI, IoT, by changing social needs like ride-sharing getting so popular, and this clear global push towards sustainability in EVs.
That's spot on.
And the sheer scale is just hard to ignore. Projected to nearly triple in size between 2021 and 2033, heading towards almost $3 trillion globally.
It's a staggering number, and it leads to a really interesting final thought for you listening out there.
Okay.
Given this incredible projected growth, and especially with these transformative factors like AI, IoT, and sustainability really shaping the future of vehicles, how do you see your own interaction with transportation changing over the next decade or so?
Good question.
Yeah, I mean, will owning your own personal car remain as central to your life as it might be now? Or do you think these innovative mobility solutions, ride-sharing, autonomous services, maybe things we haven't even fully imagined yet, will become the norm for how you get around?
Definitely something to think about as these roads of tomorrow start taking shape.
Exactly. Food for thought. Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we unpack the most important nuggets of knowledge and insight for you.
Hello.
Today, we're diving into something truly dynamic. The profound shifts sweeping across the global vehicle market.
Yeah, it's a huge topic.
It really is. It's no longer just about getting from point A to B.
It's not at all. It's about this rapidly evolving ecosystem, really. It's reshaping how we move, how vehicles are designed.
And even how we think about owning a car, or if we even need to.
Exactly. So our mission for this deep dive is, well, to give you a shortcut to being well-informed.
Cutting through the noise.
Right. Uncovering the key drivers, the big challenges, and, the really exciting emerging trends that are defining this new era of mobility.
Think of it as your essential guide to understanding what's coming next for vehicles.
Couldn't have put it better.
Okay. So we're going to start by exploring the powerful forces propelling all this change.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll navigate some of the significant roadblocks the industry is facing. Big ones there.
Definitely some hurdles.
And finally, we'll look at the game-changing trends that are truly shaping what's next.
Sounds like a plan. Where should we start?
Let's get into those driving forces first.
Okay. Well, when we talk about forces driving change, you can't ignore the sheer scale of global demographics and rising incomes.
Right. It's massive.
It is. And what's often overlooked isn't just, urbanization, cities getting bigger, but the massive expansion of the middle class.
Especially in certain regions.
Exactly. Especially in places like Asia Pacific and Latin America. As incomes improve and, crucially, infrastructure catches up, we're seeing unprecedented numbers of first-time buyers flooding into the market.
And this isn't just about selling more units, is it? It sounds like it's fundamentally changing what people want or need in a vehicle.
Absolutely. You see this so clearly in India and Indonesia, for example.
Okay.
There's just skyrocketing demand for affordable two-wheelers and compact SUVs, particularly in those semi-urban and rural areas.
So not necessarily the high-end tech features driving things there?
Not primarily, no. For many, these vehicles represent more than just personal mobility. They're status symbols, sure, but also just basic convenience.
Especially where public transport might be, well, limited.
Precisely. So it's redefining design priorities globally. The focus shifts less on luxury, maybe more on absolute affordability and, rugged reliability.
That makes sense. It's a different set of needs.
Exactly. And then layered on top of that, the nature of the vehicle itself is just evolving at breakneck speed.
Which brings us nicely to technology.
Yes, the relentless march of technological innovation. The vehicle isn't just a machine anymore.
No, it's becoming a platform, right?
Truly a platform for continuous software and hardware upgrades. It's a fundamental shift.
And what's really compelling here is how quickly these features, these sort of cutting-edge things, are moving from being luxury add-ons to, well, mainstream expectations.
That's the key pressure point.
So what are some of those key technologies that consumers are now just demanding as standard?
Well, we're talking about things like advanced driver assistance systems, ADAS,
Right, the lane assist, emergency braking.
all of that. Plus cloud-based navigation and, crucially, over-the-air updates, OTA updates.
Oh, so the car updates itself like a phone.
Pretty much. And the real insight here is how fast these features, which were once exclusive to premium models, are becoming expected even in entry-level vehicles.
Which must create immense cost pressure for the manufacturers.
Huge pressure. For the OEMs, the original equipment manufacturers, the car makers, they now need to figure out how to miniaturize and decost complex tech at speeds we haven't seen before.
And who's leading the charge on this integration?
Well, you look at companies like Tesla, obviously, but also BMW, Hyundai. They're really at the forefront of integrating this stuff.
To improve the user experience, I guess, and the vehicle's intelligence.
Exactly. Particularly in developed markets, say the US, Japan, Germany, where that demand for premium functionality really drives automakers.
Okay, so we have changing demographics, rapid tech evolution. What's the third big force?
Governments. Supportive government policies and incentives.
Yes. Especially when it comes to electric vehicles, right?
Absolutely crucial for the EV segment. We're seeing specific policy tools being used everywhere.
Like what?
Direct subsidies, tax rebates, sometimes reduced registration costs, and critically, government investment in building out charging infrastructure.
That last one feels vital.
It's essential. You see programs like India's FAM2 scheme.
Right. That's designed to speed up EV adoption through subsidies.
Exactly. Or look at the EU Green Deal, pushing for net zero emissions across the board.
Or the Inflation Reduction Act in the U.S.
All these are creating a really fertile environment for EVs to take hold.
It's interesting you mentioned India and the EU and U.S. China's EV adoption is also huge, isn't it? Is that just policy too?
Well, policy is a massive part of it in China, but it's also bolstered by really aggressive domestic production.
The supply side.
And innovation right there in their supply chain. They're building the batteries, the components, everything.
So it's a whole ecosystem push.
It is. And it's not just the major economies either. Even in some African and Southeast Asian nations, governments are bringing in schemes.
Trying to encourage ownership, maybe cleaner ownership?
Yeah, encourage ownership while also trying to manage emissions and improve road safety. So it's a truly global thing driven by policy.
Okay, so those are some powerful tailwinds. But it's not all smooth sailing, is it? The industry is facing some pretty serious headwinds too.
Definitely not smooth sailing. there are significant roadblocks. Let's start with costs, soaring costs,
For fuel.
both fuel and raw materials. Yeah. This is a massive headache for manufacturers.
I bet. Global crude prices are, well, famously volatile.
Exactly. And then you have the surge in costs for essential materials, especially for batteries, lithium, cobalt, but also aluminum, steel.
Things you need for any car, really.
Right. And that puts immense pressure on them. So what happens?
Well, I guess those costs eventually hit the consumer.
They often get passed directly onto you, the buyer, which understandably dampens demand.
Especially at the more affordable end of the market.
Precisely. In those price-sensitive segments like entry-level sedans or, say, commercial vehicles for fleets, it really bites.
And is this affecting EVs too? I thought they were meant to get cheaper.
Well, the long-term trend for battery costs is down, but rising component costs right now mean even EVs aren't immune. Affordability is still a critical bottleneck for electric vehicles themselves.
Okay, so cost pressure is one major hurdle. What else?
Supply chains? We're still grappling with persistent supply chain disruptions.
The chip shortage hangover.
That's part of it, the semiconductor shortages, yes. But also, broader geopolitical uncertainties are playing a role, disrupting logistics and material flows.
And we see the results of this.
Absolutely. Major automakers, Toyota, Ford, Volkswagen, many others, have reported significant delays and even reduced production runs.
Particularly for certain types of vehicles.
Often for the more complex ones, yeah. Hybrids, premium models that tend to have more chips and specialized components.
And the consequence for someone trying to buy a car.
It hits consumer confidence. You get long wait times, inventory that fluctuates wildly.
Or maybe the car arrives, but it's missing a feature you expected.
Exactly. Incomplete feature offerings in certain regions.
Yeah.
It's particularly frustrating in markets where people have high expectations for premium delivery.
Okay, so costs up, supply chains shaky. Anything else making life difficult for car makers?
Regulation. Tightening regulatory frameworks around the world.
Emission standards, safety rules.
Both. New emissions norms and new safety norms globally are significantly increasing R&D costs and compliance costs.
Which eats into profits.
It certainly can, often at the expense of profit margins. We're talking about stringent new standards like BS6 in India.
Euro 7 in Europe.
The NHTSA's evolving crash test criteria in the U.S. These aren't minor tweaks.
No, they force big investments.
They compel automakers to invest heavily in making vehicles cleaner and safer, which is good, of course, but it raises a tough question.
How do smaller manufacturers keep up?
Exactly. It can be very difficult for them to play out. You might see more consolidation in the industry, or some players might just exit certain markets or segments.
And having different rules in different parts of the world must be complicated too.
Oh, hugely. Diverse global standards really complicate vehicle platform strategies, trying to build cars that can be sold everywhere. And it definitely increases the time it takes to get a new model to market.
Wow. Okay, so quite a few challenges there. Costs, supply chains, regulations. But despite all that, there are these glimpses of the future, these really game-changing trends emerging.
Absolutely. And despite the hurdles, the innovation is still happening at pace.
So what's the most prominent trend you're seeing right now? The biggest shift?
Without a doubt, it's the mainstream shift toward electric mobility. EVs.
They're really moving beyond being just a niche, aren't they?
Oh, completely. They are becoming mainstream across so many different categories. Well, everything from electric scooters becoming super popular in Southeast Asia to battery electric buses being deployed widely in European cities. It's happening across the board.
And we see the big players really leaning in now.
For sure. Companies like BYD in China, Tesla, of course, but also established players like Tata Motors in India, and even newer ones like Lucid Motors. They're all expanding their product lines, scaling up production.
Trying to meet that booming demand.
Exactly. And there are factors making EVs just more viable now, beyond the environmental aspect.
What are those?
Well, battery prices, despite recent bumps, are generally trending down over the long term. Driving ranges are getting much better.
Addressing that range anxiety issue.
Right. And the charging infrastructure is growing, slowly but surely.
Which must make a big difference for businesses, too.
Huge difference. It significantly benefits fleet operators and ride-sharing platforms. The business case for EVs and commercial use is becoming much, much stronger.
Okay, so electrification is huge. What's another major trend transforming the vehicle itself?
Connectivity. Vehicles becoming deeply integrated into our digital lives. We're seeing the rise of truly connected and intelligent vehicle ecosystems.
This feels like a really profound shift.
It is. We're talking about the integration of the Internet of Things, IoT, AI, 5G connectivity.
And that V2X thing. Vehicle to everything.
Yes, V2X communication, where vehicles can actually talk to other cars or traffic lights, maybe even pedestrians' phones in the future.
Wow.
It's transforming how consumers interact with their vehicles, fundamentally,
So the vehicle basically becomes a rolling data hub.
pretty much. Enabling features like predictive maintenance. The car tells you it needs service before it breaks down.
Real-time traffic routing that's much smarter.
Remote diagnostics. And think about the business models. The emergence of subscription-based services for features.
Like paying monthly for heated seats or extra performance.
Essentially, yes. Or for advanced infotainment. Plus app-controlled dashboards. Vehicles are turning into these data-rich platforms.
Which opens up totally new revenue streams for the car makers and tech companies too.
Absolutely. And it aligns perfectly with all those smart city initiatives you hear about.
Right, in places like Singapore or Seoul, Amsterdam.
Exactly. Where mobility and data ecosystems are really starting to intersect and work together.
Fascinating. Okay, electrification, connectivity. What's the third big emerging trend?
It's about how we access mobility itself. The shift in ownership models.
Ah, shared mobility and subscriptions.
Yes, the growing adoption of shared mobility services, car sharing, ride-hailing, and vehicle subscription models is particularly taking off in urban centers.
Why there specifically?
Well, it's partly a response to congestion and environmental concerns in dense cities.
Makes sense. Services like Zipcar, Uber, Ola in India, City Scoot for scooters.
All examples reducing the need or maybe the desire for personal car ownership for many people.
It's becoming more about access than possession.
That's the key phrase. It's about access. And we're even seeing the OEMs, the car makers themselves, getting involved.
Yes.
Well, companies like Volvo, Hyundai, others are piloting flexible lease options or even pay-as-you-go models.
Interesting. And who finds these models most appealing?
They really seem to resonate with Gen Z and millennial consumers.
Why them in particular?
They often value access and flexibility over, the long-term commitment and the hassles of full ownership, insurance, maintenance, parking.
Right. Now, this must be a challenge for the traditional way car companies sell cars.
It definitely challenges the traditional ownership-based sales model, yes. But
There's an opportunity too.
there's also a huge opportunity for recurring revenue streams, for one thing, and for data-driven fleet management for businesses that operate these shared or subscription services.
So it's a fundamental rethinking, really, of what a car even means in our lives.
Precisely. Is it a product you own or a service you access?
Okay, so let's try and pull this all together. To recap this deep dive, the global vehicle market is navigating an incredibly dynamic period. That seems clear.
Definitely dynamic. You've got these immense growth opportunities, especially in electrification, connectivity, these new mobility models.
But at the same time, the industry is grappling with some really persistent challenges.
Yeah, those cost pressures aren't going away quickly. Regulatory complexities are increasing. And supply chain issues, while maybe easing slightly, are still a constraint.
So hopefully understanding these interwoven forces, the drivers, the roadblocks, the trends, empowers you, the listener, to make sense of this evolving landscape, both for personal transport and, public transportation too, and what it might mean for the choices you make down the line.
It's definitely a complex picture, but also, I think, an incredibly exciting time to be watching this industry transform.
It certainly is.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up, we always like to leave you with a thought-provoking question, something to mull over beyond our discussion today.
Okay.
If the very concept of a vehicle is shifting from something you own, a possession, to maybe a subscription, a data hub on wheels, a shared resource, what does that actually mean for our sense of personal freedom, for how we plan our cities, and maybe even for the future of how we define driving itself?
That's a big one to chew on. Lots of implications there.
Definitely something to think about. Thank you for joining us on the Deep Dive.